Global warming, swine flu, the economy, I don't look like her, I don't look like him, Constant reasons to fear. Locking us into the control system. And it's not just physical survival. It's survival of status, of power, of reputation, superiority, intellectual preeminence. Acquiescence to a hierarchy and authority is another aspect of the reptilian brain. I know my place. And you know, when you put information out that challenges the status quo view of scientists and academics, they react vehemently. Why? Because the reptilian brain's kicked in. Survival of their reputation, survival of their belief system. When you put out information that challenges people's religious beliefs, not you're saying you're wrong and all that stuff, you're just saying here's some information, which if it's true, that can't be right. They vehemently attack you. Why? Because the reptilian brain's kicked in, because the belief system is in danger of not surviving. Fear of money. Money is fundamentally reptilian brain. Two polarities of it. One, fear of not surviving, fear of not having enough to pay the rent, to eat. And on the other hand, you can get so locked into the reptilian brain, and this is what the hybrid bloodlines do, that you equate survival with far more than is necessary to survive. So you get people, especially in these bloodline networks, who have got more money than they could spend in 100 lifetimes, but they get up with the sun every morning to go and earn bloody more. It's an obsession, it's an addiction, and it's connected to the reptilian brain, which fundamentally drives our perception of reality. Don Juan Matus again. I know that even now, though you never have suffered hunger, you have food anxiety, which is none other than the anxiety of the predator who fears that at any moment now its maneuver is going to be uncovered and food is going to be denied. Through the mind, which after all is their mind, the predators inject into the lives of human beings whatever is convenient for them, and they ensure in this manner a degree of security to act as a buffer against this fear. Sorcerers of ancient Mexico reasoned, here we go, that man must have been a complete being at one point, with stupendous insights, feats of awareness that are mythological legends nowadays. And then everything seems to disappear, and we now have a sedated man. What I'm saying is, what we have against us is not a simple predator. It is very smart and organized. It follows a methodical system to render us useless. Modus operandi, done it many times. Man, the magical being that he is destined to be, he's no longer magical. He is an average piece of meat. There are no more dreams for man, but the dreams of an animal who is being raised to be a piece of meat, trite, conventional, imbecilic. This is what becoming conscious brings us out of. Control of perception is the bottom line of this conspiracy. You know, I'm all for exposing 9/11s and banking scams and engineered wars, but this is the bottom line, and if we miss it, then we're going round in circles and we'll get nowhere. Interestingly, the Zulu legends say that before the moon came, they used to worship the sun as female, and then everything changed. This change from perceiving the sun as female to worshipping it as male made possible the creation of warlike kings that took what they wanted by force. Everything changed when the perception of the sun changed, and the perception of the sun changed when the moon matrix kicked in and changed our perception of everything. And in so many ways, this Avatar movie, I'm not saying Cameron symbolized it like this, I'm saying what it symbolized to me. The blue people, who were in total harmony with everything else, I'm saying to me are symbolic of humans as we were before the predator came. And then the American troops with their high technology, let's kill people, we want these resources, so let's just go and get them and destroy everything to do so. They symbolize to me this reptilian intervention. And they even have, in the Avatar movie, of course, the concept of the possession of the blue people so that they could infiltrate their society while outwardly looking like they do and not being known to be who they are. These reptilians look down a different timeline to us because they're on a different wavelength. They're able to see further into what we call the future than we are. And therefore, if you access this network of secret societies, especially the inner circle, you can access the projected future of human society which this is planning. Therefore, you can write prophetic novels which further down what we call the timeline turn out to be staggeringly accurate. All you need to do is to access that projection. And you do it by accessing the Secret Society network. This, the Fabian Society in London, created in 1884, is one of those societies. The deeper inner core that have access to that timeline and that projected agenda. And this guy was one of them, a Fabian. And that's the Fabian logo, by the way. The wolf in sheep's clothing. Perfect. Perfect. It created, in effect, the Labour Party in Britain, and it influences massively the left, not only the left, but what we call the left centre of politics, not just in Britain, but in other countries. Australia, too, for instance, very, very powerfully. When people have said to me in the past, you know, what's planned, I've said to them, well, you can read 2 books and see it, just put them together. George Orwell's 1984 and Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. This was published in 1948, this was in 1932. Put the 2 together, this talks about the drugs and all the rest of it, and the mind control, this talks about the sort of police state. Put them together, you got it. They were incredibly prophetic. I've been saying for years they weren't novels, or their source wasn't novels. Turns out that Aldous Huxley taught French to a man called Eric Blair then, now George Orwell, at Eton College, and introduced him to the Fabian Society. And this was the knowledge base, plus no doubt others connected, where they got these concepts. And what they said all those decades ago, Huxley's case 1932, is now happening in incredible detail. And it seems that Orwell rebelled against what he heard and wrote 1984 to try to expose it. And some researchers suggest, they may well be right, that he called it 1984 when it was set kind of about now, because 1984 was the 100th anniversary of the creation of the Fabian Society. We've reached a point where these entities and their hybrid bloodlines, the Illuminati bloodlines, they think the takeover of humanity is almost complete. And when you look at it, it may seem to be that that's the case. They think the game is over. It's gone so far. They must be bloody joking. These people... These people are in for the shock of their lives in the next few years. The shock of their lives. Because they can access so much, but they can't access beyond that. And they think the game's over because it seems to be here, but they can't perceive there. And when that comes in here, and it's very close to doing so, game over. Well, we've come a long way, haven't we? And what we're going to do now then is have a break for, say, 45 minutes, and I'll come back and look at the world as it is now and what's happening. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very good so far, yeah. The reason I'm here basically is to find out exactly what's going on in the world and find out exactly what the hidden conspiracy there is that's going on today, basically.
It's not just David Icke that's saying this stuff about the moon. There's Alex Collier, the Andromedan contactee, who says that the moon was towed here but from Ursa Minor, which is near the Alpha Draconis star system, by the reptilians.
I don't think he's necessarily said anything that I haven't known already, but he's very eloquent, and he's put it together in such a beautiful package that it just makes it very easy for anyone to understand.
I just like the way David puts things across. You know, he's not afraid. He's not afraid. He's got no fear in him whatsoever. Doesn't give one iota about what people think, and I think we can all learn from that, definitely.
Ever since I was little, I've always thought that something was wrong. The way that society, because I believe that reality and the system that we live in are two completely different things. I've found it very difficult to concentrate in school because I was always told what to believe. It was very structured, and whenever I used to ask why, nobody could ever give me an answer. And it seems that David Icke seems to give those answers and opens up your perception to new possibilities.
Some concepts of it I can agree with, definitely with the controlling aspect of it, because there's got, like, when you look at the controlling thing, there's got to be a way how they're really keeping us controlled. So I would say with that aspect of it, yeah, I do agree with it.
I have read and I have seen many videos, and I think it's great because there is a lot of truth in everything he says, and there will be a lot of changes from now on.
I admire what he's doing. I think he's got a lot of courage to step out and enlighten a lot of people about what's going on in the world that the majority of us don't really understand or know about. So he's, I give him a thumbs up, really.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I've never done it this long. It's always been 3 times, now it's 4. It'll be 18 by the end of this decade, the way I'm going. What I want to do now is just look in this section at where we are now and how it plays out in this 5-sense reality. We've come down the levels, now plays out here. Manipulation of 5-sense reality. And what I call the coordinates. Because once we realize basic coordinates of where they want to take the world and the methods they use to take us there, suddenly what seems to be a bewildered world and what's going on, it just morphs into clarity. The question is, how do they do it? It's a good question, because at first sight, how do a few control the many? Impossible, but it's not, because of the way they've structured society. Just to very quickly recap, they want to lock humanity in the 5 senses, so we don't perceive beyond it. We're locked in that prison. They have interbreeding bloodlines, computer terminals, I would call them, which play out this interdimensional conspiracy within visible light, what I call the Illuminati bloodlines. And they've set up a structure whereby the bloodlines who answer to the reptilian control system then control the governments, the people in power in all the various institutions. And crucial all the way through is to structure society. I mean, you can symbolize it as a spider's web, or like this as a pyramid. The idea is to hoard advanced knowledge, the kind of stuff we've been hearing about today and more, in the upper levels of this structure. This pyramid within pyramid structure, compartmentalized pyramid, where the few at the top are the only ones that know how it all fits together. And they keep the general population in ignorance of what they know, therefore they have the power, so they can manipulate the perception of the masses by keeping them in ignorance. This is why the education system is not about educating, it's about programming. And they place their people in so-called power, what we are told is at the top of the pyramid of power, presidents, prime ministers and all these people, in the upper echelons of the pyramid, but nowhere near the top. The real people in power are behind them, in the shadows, and these are the conduits, the presidents, the prime ministers and all the rest of it, for bringing that agenda into the public arena as changes in laws and legislations and the structure of society.